Welcome back. Tired of waking up at night to pee? Today we are sharing Dr. William Lee's simple secret to calm your bladder for good.
Your bladder is not the problem. Your body's timing system is broken, and once you understand that difference, everything changes. Here is something Dr. William Lee has highlighted that many people have never been told. Your bladder has its own internal clock, a biological rhythm completely separate from your brain that tells it when to hold and when to let go. When that clock gets disrupted, and in many adults over 50, it does no pill, no supplement, and no surgery can fix what is happening because you are not treating the cause, you are silencing the alarm. In today's video, we are going to look at exactly how to reset that clock, and you can start tonight. Before we go any further, if this is your first time on this channel, subscribe right now and tap the bell. This channel exists to give you what your doctor may not have time to explain in a 12-minute appointment. Every video on this channel is built on peer-reviewed science. Not advertising, not supplement sales, just the science. Now, let us get into it. Section 1, the alarm versus the fire, why everything you have tried has failed. Let me ask you a simple question. How long have you been fighting your bladder? Maybe you cut off all fluids by 6 in the evening. Maybe you tried bladder supplements from the pharmacy shelf, or prescription pills that left you dizzy, dry mouth, and still stumbling to the bathroom at 3 in the morning. If any of that sounds familiar, understand one thing very clearly right now. You have been trying to silence the alarm. You have not been finding the fire. Picture a smoke detector in your kitchen. It starts beeping at 2 in the morning, loud, irritating, impossible to ignore. What do? You could rip the batteries out. Problem solved. Silence. Or you could walk into the kitchen and find out that the stove was left on. Your bladder is the smoke detector. Every time it wakes you up, it is sending a signal about something happening elsewhere in your body. In the majority of cases of nighttime urination, in adults over 50, the bladder itself is completely healthy. It is doing exactly what a healthy bladder should do. It is emptying what gets put into it. The problem is what is filling it while you sleep, why it is happening at midnight instead of midday, and why your body's internal timing system has stopped protecting your sleep. Before we go deeper, let me ask you one direct question. How many times are you getting up at night right now? Write your number in the comments below. 1, 2, 3, 4, or more. Just the number, it takes 5 seconds. It tells me exactly which part of this video matters most to you. Section 2, the clock nobody told you about circadian rhythm and your bladder. In 2012, a research team published a landmark study in the journal Nature Communications. What they found was genuinely startling. The bladder has its own local circadian clock, a biological timer embedded directly into the muscle wall of the bladder itself. It does not wait for instructions from your brain. It runs independently on its own schedule. In a young, healthy body, this clock runs in perfect synchrony with the master clock in the brain. During daylight hours, the bladder is in high activity mode. At night, the bladder clock shifts into what can be called economy mode. It relaxes, it holds more volume, it delays the urgency signal. This is why a healthy person can sleep 7 or 8 hours straight without a single trip to the bathroom. As we age, 2 things happen simultaneously. First, the brain's master clock, a small structure called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, begins to weaken. Its timing signals become inconsistent. Second, the kidneys begin losing their own circadian rhythm. In a healthy body, the kidneys produce most of their urine during daylight hours. At night, a hormone called vasopressin, also called antidiuretic hormone, acts like a night shift supervisor. It tells the kidneys to slow down, work in economy mode, and reduce output. That is what allows you to sleep through the night. When the brain's master clock weakens, vasopressin production becomes erratic. The kidneys keep running at full capacity while you are lying still in the dark. Here is the detail that surprises most people. Stress hormones, specifically cortisol, directly suppress vasopressin production. Cortisol and vasopressin are biochemical rivals. When cortisol rises, vasopressin falls. And your cortisol does not only spike when you are stressed during the day. In adults over 50 with disrupted sleep, cortisol begins rising earlier in the night cycle, sometimes as early as 2 or 3 in the morning. This early cortisol surge shuts down vasopressin. The kidneys lose their brake signal, and within 30 to 45 minutes, your bladder is full. You wake up and you think it is your bladder's fault. It is not. It is your stress hormone system firing completely out of rhythm. If this is helping you so far, type yes in the comments right now. It only takes 2 seconds, and it lets me know you're still with me. Because the next 7 signs are even more important. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Section 3, know when to stop watching and make a phone call. Not every case of nighttime urination is a circadian rhythm problem. Some are signals that need immediate medical evaluation. First, blood in your urine without pain. If you see dark red, pink, or brown urine with no burning and no discomfort, that is one of the earliest signs of bladder cancer or kidney pathology. The combination of painless blood and visible discoloration in adults over 50 is a direct indication for cystoscopy. Do not wait. Do not search online. Call your doctor today. Second, significant unexplained weight loss combined with bone pain in the pelvis or lower back. If those symptoms accompany urinary changes, especially in men over 60, that pattern requires urgent investigation. Third, urinary changes alongside sudden new neurological symptoms. If you develop difficulty controlling your bladder at the same time as leg weakness, numbness, or changes in your ability to walk, that combination points towards spinal cord involvement and requires emergency evaluation. If none of those apply to you, take a breath. The situation is manageable, but the next step is identifying which specific type of nocturia you are dealing with, because the treatment approach for each type is completely different. Section 4, 3 types, 3 different solutions. Which one are you? Type 1 is global polyuria. This means producing too much urine across the full 24 hours. You go frequently during the day and at night. Each time the volume is large. Your urine is almost always pale, nearly colorless. The most common causes are excessive fluid intake and uncontrolled type 2 diabetes, where elevated blood glucose acts as its own osmotic diuretic. This type belongs in front of an endocrinologist. The protocol we are discussing today is not designed for this type. Type 2 is nocturnal polyuria. This is the most common type in adults over 50. Research published in the BJU International estimates it affects between 60 and 70% of older adults presenting with nocturia. Your day is completely normal. You visit the bathroom every 4 or 5 hours. Nothing hurts, nothing burns. It comes from processed foods, canned soups, cheese, cured meats, packaged sauces, bread, and condiments. When you eat a sodium-rich dinner, your body retains water short-term to dilute the concentration in your blood. But hours later, as your kidneys attempt to excrete that sodium load, they run significant fluid volume through themselves to carry it out. The result is a predictable surge of urine production starting around midnight. You did not drink that extra fluid, you ate it at 7 in the evening. Evening simple carbohydrates create a second problem. A rapid glucose spike triggers an insulin burst. Then, 2 to 3 hours later, when blood glucose drops sharply, the kidneys reverse course and begin excreting the retained fluid, hitting at the exact moment you are in your deepest sleep. If you have any degree of insulin resistance, elevated blood glucose acts as its own diuretic, pulling water from your cells into the urine throughout the night. Alcohol is a direct, powerful suppressor of vasopressin. Even one evening drink partially blocks the hormone that tells your kidneys to slow down overnight. The sedative effect may mask the first urge to void. The bladder fills past a comfortable volume and eventually wakes you with an urgent, uncomfortable alarm. Now, what actively helps? Magnesium is one of the most underused nutrients in bladder health. It supports smooth muscle relaxation, including the detrusor muscle, the muscle wall of the bladder. When magnesium levels are adequate, the bladder stretches more comfortably before triggering urgency. Magnesium also supports deeper, slow wave sleep and helps regulate the cortisol system. Food sources include raw pumpkin seeds, almonds, dark leafy greens, and legumes. Raw pumpkin seeds deserve their own mention. Not roasted, not salted, but raw and green. 30 grams daily. They provide magnesium and zinc in highly bioavailable form alongside plant compounds called phytosterols that support the pelvic floor and prostate tissue in men. A clinical study published in the Journal of Traditional and Complementary Medicine in 2014 found that pumpkin seed extract significantly improved overactive bladder symptoms in both men and women. Unsweetened cranberry, the actual berry, or standardized extract, not sugar-loaded juice, contains compounds called proanthocyanidins that prevent bacteria from adhering to the bladder wall. Many adults over 50 carry a low-grade chronic bacterial presence in the bladder that never becomes a clinical infection, but chronically irritates bladder nerve endings, making the bladder hypersensitive so that small volumes trigger early alarms. Systematic reviews, including research published in the Cochrane database, support the proanthocyanidin mechanism for reducing this chronic background irritation. Dietary fiber completes the picture. A chronically constipated colon presses directly against the bladder. A bloated colon compresses the bladder from outside, triggering early urgency signals, even when the bladder is barely a quarter full. High fiber vegetables, bran, and legumes regulate bowel rhythm and give the bladder the physical room it needs to expand properly overnight. Practical evening summary: remove processed meat, cheese, canned goods, and heavy condiments from your dinner. Eliminate simple sugars after 6. Set alcohol aside entirely. Add raw pumpkin seeds and unsweetened cranberry as daily habits. Eat high-fiber food at lunch and dinner. Now, we reach the core of this entire video, the 3-part evening protocol that I call the bladder clock reset. Margaret followed this consistently. Within 10 days, she was down from 4 nighttime bathroom trips to 1. Within 30 days, she was sleeping through the night. I want that same result for you. Here is exactly how it works. Section 8, the bladder clock reset protocol. Morning, afternoon, evening. Part 1, morning, the fluid front load. The single most impactful structural change you can make to your overnight urine production is shifting when you drink. Most adults consume the bulk of their fluids in the afternoon and evening. This is precisely backwards. The goal is 70% of your total daily fluid intake consumed before 2 o'clock in the afternoon, a full glass of water immediately upon waking, a water bottle visible and accessible during the morning hours, soup or warm herbal tea at lunch. After 2 in the afternoon, reduce intake to small sips on thirst only. After 6 in the evening, minimal intake, only enough to relieve dryness. When your kidneys receive their primary fluid load in the morning and early afternoon, they process and excrete it during daylight hours. By evening, there is dramatically less volume queued for overnight output. One more step for the morning: remove the salt shaker from your dinner table permanently. Season food only during cooking, not at the table. This single structural change reduces daily sodium intake by 20 to 30% without altering what you eat. Part 2, afternoon magnesium timing. If you choose to add a magnesium supplement, timing matters. Magnesium glycinate or magnesium citrate taken in the mid to late afternoon between 3 and 5 supports smooth muscle relaxation in the bladder wall and promotes deeper, slow wave sleep onset. A typical dose is 300 to 400 milligrams. Speak with your physician before starting any supplement. Part 3, evening, the 3-step reset. Step 1, leg elevation, 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Lie on your sofa or on the floor. Elevate your legs by resting your heels on the back of the couch or against the wall. The angle should be roughly 45 degrees. Your heels must be above the level of your heart. Stay in this position for 15 to 20 minutes. What is happening during those minutes? Gravity is gently pushing fluid from the tissues of your lower legs back into your bloodstream. Your kidneys receive this volume and begin processing it. Your heart detects the returning fluid and releases the atrial natriuretic peptide signal. Your kidneys shift into active filtration mode. 30 to 40 minutes after you finish, you will feel a genuine urge to urinate. You will go to the bathroom and release that fluid. That is the exact volume that would otherwise have woken you at 2 in the morning. You have deliberately rescheduled that work to an hour when you are awake and ready for it. If you have visible leg swelling by evening, add graduated compression, knee-high stockings. Put them on when you return home. Remove them before your evening shower. Step 2, nervous system deactivation. 60 minutes before bed. 60 minutes before bed, eliminate screens and activities that carry emotional activation. News programs, social media, financial planning, unresolved family matters. These activities stimulate the sympathetic nervous system and delay the cortisol drop that must happen before sleep. Replace that hour with something genuinely low stimulation. Slow reading, soft music, sitting in low warm light. Then, within 5 minutes of lying down, perform this breathing sequence once. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold your breath for 7 counts. Exhale slowly and completely through your mouth for 8 counts. Repeat this 4 times. This breathing pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and recovery state, and initiates the physiological shift that supports vasopressin release. Research published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience in 2018 confirmed measurable reductions in cortisol response and activation of the body's calming system through slow, extended exhale breathing patterns. Step 3, pelvic floor calibration. In bed after lights out. Once you are lying down, ready for sleep, perform 20 to 30 pelvic floor contractions. But 90% of people do this incorrectly. They squeeze the buttocks, tighten the abdomen, and clench the thighs. That accomplishes nothing for the bladder's nerve signals. The correct movement is internal and completely isolated. Imagine pulling your pelvic floor slowly upward, like an elevator rising from the ground floor to the 5th floor. Your abdomen must stay completely soft. Your thighs and buttocks remain fully relaxed. Only the internal pelvic floor muscle group moves. Contract. Hold for 3 seconds. Release slowly. Repeat 20 to 30 times. Systematic reviews published in the Cochrane database confirm that pelvic floor muscle training consistently reduces urgency episodes, nighttime bathroom visits, and daytime frequency in both men and women. The mechanism is neurological. The trained pelvic floor sends calming signals through the pudendal nerve directly to the bladder's stretch receptors. The bladder stops panicking at small volumes and begins holding more before it signals urgency. Here's my final question for you today. Which part of this protocol do you think will be the hardest for you to stick to? The morning fluid shift, the leg elevation before bed, or turning off the news an hour before sleep? Tell me in the comments. Your answer genuinely shapes what I focus on next. Section 9, your 5-step action plan for tonight's step 1. Do the shin test right now. Sit down. Expose your lower leg between the knee and ankle. Press your thumb firmly against the shin bone, 4 to 6 inches above the ankle. Hold for 10 to 15 seconds. Remove your thumb. If a pit remains and takes more than a few seconds to fill back in, you have hidden fluid in your legs that is flowing through your kidneys every night. Step 2, measure tomorrow on your next day off. Collect and measure your urine output separately for daytime and nighttime. If more than 1/3 of your total daily output occurs at night, you have confirmed nocturnal polyuria. Your kidneys are running their schedule backwards. Step 3, restructure dinner tonight. Remove processed meat, cheese, canned items, and heavy condiments from your evening meal. Choose fresh protein, cooked vegetables, and a moderate portion of whole grains. Move the salt shaker off the dinner table for the rest of the week. Step 4, 1 hour before bed, lie down and elevate your legs for 15 minutes. Set a timer. After you come down, go to the bathroom. You will release a meaningful volume. Go to bed noticeably lighter. Step 5, after lights out, perform 4 cycles of the 4-count inhale, 7-count hold, 8-count exhale breathing sequence. Then do 20 to 30 correct pelvic floor contractions, lifting upward, abdomen completely soft, everything else relaxed. Then sleep. Your bladder has its own circadian clock, and it can be reset. Cortisol is suppressing the hormone that slows your kidneys at night. Leg fluid is accumulating all day and flooding your bladder while you sleep. The bladder clock reset protocol addresses all 3 mechanisms simultaneously. No prescription, no procedure, no significant expense, but it requires one thing above all else: consistency. There is a growing body of clinical research linking chronic nocturia not just to cardiovascular risk, but to measurably accelerated cognitive decline in adults over 60. The mechanism runs directly through the deep sleep disruption we discussed today, and most people who are experiencing this have no idea it is happening. I am covering that connection in full in the next video on this channel. If you got up twice last night, that video is not optional. I will see you there.
If this advice from Dr. Lee helped you, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our health podcast, and stay blessed. Goodbye.